The orbital laboratory known as Chronos Station drifted silently above the rust-colored surface of Mars. Its arrays of quantum receivers pointed toward the endless void. Inside the main observation deck, Dr. Lam Min gazed at the Earth hanging like a blue marble in the distance. Humanity's cradle seemed so peaceful from here. But he knew better. Resources depleted, colonies struggling, hope fading. These were the realities facing their civilization in the summer of 2378. Min ran his fingers through his cropped black hair, a habit when deep in thought. The reflective surface of the viewing panel captured his image. Angular features, perpetually furrowed brow, and eyes that carried both brilliance and burden. At 42, he had already established himself as the leading temporal physicist of his generation. But his greatest challenge lay ahead. Still watching home? The voice belonged to Tra Mai, the station's cryptography expert. Petite, with an analytical mind sharper than most quantum computers. She joined him at the viewport. "Just thinking about what's at stake," Min replied, his voice calm despite the weight of their mission. "The Echo Project represents our best hope. If we can establish reliable quantum connections with the future..." Mai nodded. "Then perhaps our descendants can guide us away from catastrophe." She paused, studying the holographic displays floating around them. "But many still believe it's impossible. Theoretical at best, delusional at worst. Science once thought the same about interplanetary travel." Min gestured toward the Martian colonies, visible as tiny lights on the planet below. "Yet, here we are." "Dr. Min," the station's AI interrupted. "The quantum array has detected an anomaly in frequency band 450 theta. Localized temporal distortion detected." Both scientists froze. They had been monitoring for unusual signals for months, hoping for even the slightest indication that their theory was correct, that future humans could indeed send information back through time via quantum entanglement. "Display readings," Min commanded, his heart racing despite his outward composure. Holographic screens materialized around them, showing cascading streams of data, quantum signatures, unlike anything they had recorded before. The pattern was too ordered, too specific to be random noise. "This is it," Min whispered, his fingers dancing across the controls to capture every quantum fluctuation. "This is a signal." Mai leaned forward, her eyes widening as she recognized the nested quantum code structure. "It's using a modified version of our baseline protocol, but vastly more sophisticated." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Min, this is from the future." The message, once partially decoded, was brief but urgent. "Cease He-3 extraction in Orpheus Belt immediately." Within hours, the entire station was in controlled chaos. Hu Locke, the team's engineering specialist, had been called from his quarters to verify the signal's authenticity. Tall and methodical, Locke approached every problem with skeptical precision. "The quantum signatures are unlike anything in our databases," he confirmed, studying the readings. "The nested encoding is decades beyond our current capabilities." "Could it be falsified?" Mai asked, ever the skeptic. "An elaborate hoax?" Min shook his head. "The quantum entanglement patterns show temporal displacement. No technology exists that could simulate this." The implications were staggering. He-3 extraction from the Orpheus Belt, a chaotic region of asteroids between Mars and Jupiter, powered nearly 40% of Earth's energy grid. The rare isotope had become the lifeblood of human civilization, especially as traditional resources dwindled. "There's more," Mai said, her voice tense as she continued decoding. "The signal mentions orbital shield catastrophe in 2382. She looked up, face pale. "It says our mining operations will trigger a quantum storm that tears through the orbital shield network." Min knew what that meant. Without the protective orbital shields, Earth would be exposed to deadly solar radiation and meteorite impacts. Billions could die. "We need to report this immediately," he decided. To whom? Locke countered. He-3 Corp controls the mining operations. They won't shut down based on a message we claim is from the future, and the Union government relies on their contributions. Then we need more evidence, Min said firmly. We need to understand exactly what this signal is warning us about, and we need irrefutable proof. Little did they know that within the station, someone else had also noticed the quantum anomaly. In his private quarters, Huang Sun, a technical specialist recently transferred to Kronos, encrypted a message to his actual employers at He-3 Corp. Unusual signal detected. Project Echo showing results. Monitoring situation. The battle for humanity's future had begun. News of the mysterious signal spread through the scientific community like quantum fire. Though the general public remained largely unaware, He-3 Corp's executives, however, were anything but ignorant of the situation. In Neo-Da Nang City on Earth, Dong Gok Huang, CEO of He-3 Corp, stared at the holographic report with narrowed eyes. The sprawling metropolis outside his penthouse window glittered with artificial light, powered largely by the very Helium-3 now under scrutiny. A message from the future? He scoffed, looking at his assembled board. And we're supposed to halt operations worth trillions based on this fantasy? The quantum signature analysis is compelling, admitted his chief scientist reluctantly. The Kronos team has considerable credibility. Huang waved dismissively. Science fiction. Perhaps Dr. Min has spent too much time staring into the void. He turned to a silent figure at the end of the table. What's your assessment, Director of Security? We should take it seriously enough to counter it, the woman replied coldly. Public panic could affect markets even if the signal proves false. I recommend increased monitoring of Kronos Station and preparation of a media strategy to discredit any leaks. Huang nodded. Sun is already in place at the station. Tell him to focus on obtaining their decryption methods. We need to know exactly what this message contains. He stood, straightening his immaculate suit. And accelerate extraction in the Orpheus Belt. If there are protesters, I want enough He-3 stockpiled to weather any temporary shutdowns. Back at Kronos Station, Min faced challenges of his own. The station's governing board had called an emergency meeting to discuss the implications of the signal. The Union Science Council is demanding complete access to your findings, the station administrator informed him. And He-3 Corp has filed an official request to examine your methodology, citing economic security concerns. Our findings aren't complete, Min countered. The signal contained embedded quantum packets we're still decrypting. I need more time before external scrutiny compromises our work. You have 1 week, the administrator replied firmly. After that, I cannot hold them off any longer. As Min left the meeting, Mai intercepted him in the corridor. I've found something in the signal, she whispered. A reference to Operation Orion, the failed time pocket project from a decade ago. Min stopped walking. Operation Orion had been a classified attempt to create microsecond time displacement fields, essentially tiny pockets of altered time. The project had ended in disaster, with several scientists lost in what official records called a containment accident. Why would a future signal reference Orion? He wondered aloud. I don't know, Mai admitted. But I've identified a unique quantum signature in the message that matches archived Orion protocols. It's like whoever sent this wanted us to make the connection. We need to speak with someone who worked on Orion, Min decided. Mai nodded. Most participants either died or disappeared after the project. But there's one person still alive, Professor Vo An. He retired to the Mars colony after Orion failed. Then that's where we're going, Min said. Prepare a shuttle request. Cite routine equipment maintenance on the surface sensors. Unknown to them, Sun was monitoring their communications. Within minutes, he had reported their plans to He-3 Corp headquarters and received new instructions. Follow them to Mars and discover what connection Professor An had to the signal. 2 days later, Min and Mai descended toward the rust-colored surface of Mars in a small research shuttle. The colony spread below them, a sprawling network of domed structures connected by transparent tubes, housing nearly 2 million people. The professor lives in the academic district, Mai said, checking her tablet. He teaches temporal physics theory to graduate students, though his access to research facilities was revoked years ago. They found Professor Voan in a modest apartment filled with books, actual paper books, a rare luxury in space colonies. The old man seemed unsurprised by their arrival. "I've been expecting someone from Kronos," he said, gesturing for them to sit. At 73, Anne's body showed the effects of extended low-gravity living, but his eyes remained sharp and calculating. "News travels, even classified news." "Then you know why we're here," Min said. "You've received a message," Anne replied simply, "from the future." Mai leaned forward. "The message contains signatures linked to Operation Orion. We need to understand why." The professor was silent for a long moment, then walked to a hidden safe in his wall. From it, he withdrew an old-fashioned notebook. Orion wasn't just about creating time pockets, he explained. It was about communication. We theorized that quantum entanglement could transcend temporal limitations. "You were trying to send messages through time," Min realized. "Yes, but we approached it wrongly. We tried to force time to bend to our will," Anne said, opening the notebook. "The results were catastrophic. We created a small temporal paradox, a ripple in space-time that cost lives and taught us humility." He showed them complex equations and diagrams. "But before the disaster, we did receive something, a quantum echo, barely detectable, but definitely from our future selves." "What did it say?" Mai asked. "It was too degraded to decode completely, but it contained a warning about orbital mechanics and a reference to something called Baga Cascade." The professor looked up at them intently. "Whatever you've received is more sophisticated than what we detected. It means the future has perfected what we only glimpsed." "The message warns about He-3 mining in the Orpheus Belt," Min explained. "It claims extraction will trigger a quantum storm in 2382 that will destroy Earth's orbital shield network." And paled visibly. "That aligns with our calculations. The belt sits at a quantum gravitational nexus point. Excessive disturbance could indeed propagate through space-time. We need proof to convince He-3 Corp and the Union government," Mai said. "Something more concrete than theoretical physics." "There might be a way," Anne said thoughtfully. "If we could recreate a controlled version of the temporal echo, essentially send our own message back to ourselves, it would validate the technology and the warning." "Is that possible?" Min asked. "Dangerous, but yes. I have the original Orion protocols." Anne tapped the notebook. "With Kronos Station's advanced quantum array, you might succeed where we failed." As they discussed the details, Sun sat in a cafe across the street, using advanced surveillance technology to listen to their conversation. He frowned as he recognized the magnitude of what they were planning. His orders were clear: prevent any experiment that might validate the message. But a question gnawed at him. What if the warning was real? For the first time since accepting his role as corporate spy, Sun felt uncertainty creeping into his resolve. Back at Kronos Station, Min assembled his core team in a secure laboratory. Mai and Locke were joined by 3 trusted technicians, all sworn to secrecy about their work. Using Professor N's notes, they began designing an experiment to recreate a controlled temporal echo. "The quantum configurator needs to be calibrated to picosecond precision," Locke muttered, making adjustments to a complex apparatus at the center of the lab. "Even the slightest deviation could cause quantum cascade failure." Professor Ann's notes mention a specific resonance frequency. Mai added, studying the old notebook. The Orion frequency, they called it. A quantum harmony that seemed to facilitate temporal displacement. Min supervised their work while simultaneously analyzing more of the original message. Each decoded fragment revealed new urgency. Quantum storm 2382. Orbital shield network collapse. Earth grid failure. 72% population loss. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the message was authentic, they had 4 years to prevent a catastrophe that would devastate human civilization. After 3 days of intense preparation, they were ready to attempt their experiment. The plan was elegant, but dangerous. They would create a quantum entanglement field tuned to the Orion frequency. Then, send a simple message backward in time. Just 24 hours. If successful, they would receive the message before they sent it, proving that temporal communication was possible. Quantum field generators online, Locke reported, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Entanglement matrix stabilizing at 94%. Chronometric alignment active, added one of the technicians. Temporal variance within acceptable parameters. Min took a deep breath. Initiate the sequence. The machine hummed to life, the quantum field becoming visible as a shimmering blue sphere in the center of the laboratory. Displays showed energy levels rising steadily as the entanglement matrix strengthened. Approaching critical resonance, Mai announced, preparing message packet. The message was simple. Echo test alpha, timestamp, 2378-06-15-14-22. Transmitting now, Min said, activating the final sequence. For a brief moment, everything seemed to proceed normally. Then alarms blared throughout the lab as the quantum field began to fluctuate wildly. Entanglement destabilizing, Locke shouted over the noise. Field collapse imminent. Shut it down, Min ordered, but it was too late. The quantum sphere pulsed once, blindingly bright, then imploded with a thunderclap of energy that knocked everyone off their feet. Emergency systems activated instantly, containing the quantum discharge. But the damage was done. The experiment had failed catastrophically. As they picked themselves up from the floor, Mai rushed to the main computer terminal. The quantum array is intact, but the configurator is fried, she reported. We'll need days to repair it. What happened? Min asked, helping a dazed technician to her feet. Quantum interference, Locke said, examining the readings. Something disrupted our field at exactly the wrong moment. Min's eyes narrowed with suspicion. Or someone. Their suspicions were confirmed when station security reported that several key systems had experienced unexpected maintenance cycles during their experiment. Cycles authorized using Sun's credentials. He knew what we were attempting, Mai said angrily. He must be working for He3 Corp. They're afraid of what we'll discover, Min concluded, which means they fear the message is authentic. What do we do now? Locke asked. We can't rebuild the configurator before the Science Council arrives to take over our research. Min was silent for a moment, weighing their options. We need to go directly to the source, he finally said. If mining in the Orpheus Belt is the trigger for this future catastrophe, we need to examine the operations ourselves, find evidence that correlates with the warning. He3 Corp will never allow that, Mai objected. Their mining facilities are strictly off-limits to outsiders. Then we don't ask permission, Min replied, his expression hardening with resolve. Professor Ann still has contacts in the Mars underground, people who operated outside corporate jurisdiction. They can help us reach Orpheus. You're suggesting we break union law, Locke said, clearly uncomfortable. This could end our careers, or worse. If the message is right, in 4 years there won't be careers to worry about, Min countered. There won't be much of anything left. Mai nodded slowly. I'm with you, whatever it takes. After a moment's hesitation, Locke agreed as well. I'll begin making the necessary modifications to a research shuttle. We'll need specialized equipment to survive in the belt. As they dispersed to prepare, none of them noticed the tiny surveillance drone hovering near the ceiling vent, transmitting everything to Sun's quarters. The spy watched the footage with growing conflict. His orders were clear. Stop Min by any means necessary. But the scientist's conviction was unsettling. What if he was right? Sun made his decision. He would report their plans to He-3 Corp as required, but perhaps not immediately. Some delays in communication were to be expected, after all, given the distance from Mars to Earth. For the first time in his career, Sun questioned whether he was on the right side of history. 3 days later, a modified research shuttle departed Kronos Station, ostensibly bound for routine maintenance of atmospheric sensors on Phobos, one of Mars' moons. In reality, Min, Mai, and Locke were heading toward the Orpheus Belt, nearly a week's journey at their vessel's maximum speed. The small craft hummed quietly as it pushed through the void, its course carefully plotted to avoid standard patrol routes. In the cramped main cabin, the three scientists reviewed their plan. According to the shipping manifests I accessed, Mai said, displaying a holographic map of the belt. He-3 Corp's primary extraction facility is located on asteroid Orpheus 42. It's one of the largest bodies in the belt, roughly 30 kilometers in diameter. The facility is automated, Locke added, with only a small security team on site. Most operations are controlled remotely from Mars or Earth. Min studied the rotating hologram. What makes this asteroid so special? Why would mining here specifically trigger a quantum storm? That's what we need to discover, Mai replied. The message didn't provide those details. Their journey proceeded without incident until the fourth day, when proximity alarms jarred them awake. A corporate security vessel was approaching rapidly from the direction of Mars. They've found us, Locke said grimly, checking the scanner. Standard He-3 Corp interceptor. Faster than our shuttle and better armed. Hail them, Min ordered. Perhaps we can negotiate. The communication screen flickered to life, revealing Sun's face. The spy looked tense, his usual calm professionalism replaced by evident concern. Dr. Min, he said without preamble, I've been ordered to stop you by any means necessary. Corporate headquarters knows your destination and purpose. Then you know what's at stake, Min replied steadily. The future of humanity. Sun hesitated, then said something unexpected. I've reviewed your data on the quantum message. The signature patterns are convincing. You believe us? Mai asked, surprised. I believe there's enough evidence to warrant investigation, Sun replied carefully. But He-3 Corp has issued a security alert, claiming you've stolen proprietary technology and pose a threat to company assets. What are you saying? Min pressed. I'm saying I can't let you proceed to Orpheus 42, Sun said. Then lowered his voice. But I could have equipment malfunction that prevents me from tracking you to Orpheus 29, where there's a smaller extraction facility currently in maintenance cycle. Minimal personnel. Easier access. Min exchanged glances with his colleagues. Was this a trap? Or was Sun offering genuine help? Why would you do this? Locke asked suspiciously. Because I have family on Earth. Sun answered simply. If there's even a small chance you're right about the coming catastrophe. He left the sentence unfinished. After a tense discussion, Min decided to trust Sun's suggestion. They altered course for asteroid Orpheus 29, while Sun's vessel continued toward Orpheus 42, broadcasting false tracking data to corporate headquarters. The smaller asteroid came into view 2 days later, a jagged, misshapen rock spinning slowly against the starfield. The extraction facility was visible as a collection of metallic structures embedded in the surface, currently dark and seemingly dormant. Life support active but minimal, Locke reported as they approached. I'm detecting only 2 human signatures, probably maintenance personnel. They docked their shuttle at an emergency airlock, the magnetic clamps engaging with a dull thud that reverberated through the hull. Donning environmental suits, they entered the facility through the maintenance access. The interior was dimly lit by emergency power, creating long shadows in the narrow corridors. Their helmet lights swept across walls lined with pipes and conduits that carried extracted He-3 to processing chambers. The main control center should be ahead, Mai whispered, though there was no need for silence in their sealed suits. If we can access their systems, we might find data on the quantum properties of the extraction process. They moved cautiously, aware that even the minimal security could prove dangerous if they were discovered. The control center doors slid open automatically as they approached, revealing a circular room filled with monitoring stations. At the center stood a holographic display of Orpheus 29, layers peeled back to show the interior composition. Locke immediately went to the main terminal. I can bypass the security protocols, but it will take time. Do it, Min instructed, then turned to Mai. Let's see what we can learn from this display. The hologram showed something unusual, a core of dense material, unlike the surrounding asteroid composition. According to the annotations, it contained extraordinarily high concentrations of He-3, far beyond what was normally found in such bodies. That's strange, Min muttered, expanding the view. This concentration isn't natural. It's almost as if the He-3 has been artificially concentrated. Mai finished his thought. But how? And why? Before they could investigate further, an alarm blared throughout the facility. Red emergency lights began flashing, and the exit doors sealed shut. We've been detected, Locke shouted from the terminal. Security protocols activating. Can you override them? Min asked urgently. Working on it, Locke replied, his fingers flying across the interface. But something else is happening. The facility's power systems are surging. The extraction equipment is activating automatically. The holographic display confirmed his observation. Deep within the asteroid, massive drills designed to extract He-3 were powering up, despite the facility being in maintenance mode. This isn't a security response, Mai realized with growing alarm. Something's triggering the equipment remotely. A new voice cut through their communication channel. I can't let you stop the extraction process. The main screen activated, showing the face of Dong-Gach Huang himself, the CEO of He-3 Corp. His expression was a mixture of determination and regret. Dr. Min, surely you understand the economics at stake. Billions depend on He-3 for power. Your unproven theories about future catastrophes cannot outweigh present certainties. It's not unproven, Min argued. We've received clear warnings from the future. The quantum signatures are authentic. Perhaps, Huang conceded. But consider this. If the future can warn us, then the future exists. Whatever catastrophe you fear clearly didn't end humanity. So, why should we sacrifice our present comfort? Because billions will die unnecessarily, Mai interrupted angrily. The message wasn't sent to tell us we survive. It was sent to prevent mass suffering. Huang's expression hardened. A philosophical debate we don't have time for. The extraction process has been initiated. This facility will resume full operations in approximately 30 minutes. I suggest you depart before then. The screen went dark. He's trapped us, Locke said, still working on the terminal. And remotely activated the facility. Min moved quickly to join him. Can you access the extraction control systems? I'm trying, but they're on a separate network with military-grade encryption. Mai had returned to the holographic display, studying it intently. Min, look at this, she called. The core composition. It's not just He-3. There's something else there. The system identifies it as quantum-resonant material. Min examined the readings, his scientific mind racing to understand the implications. It's a quantum nexus point, he realized aloud. The asteroid contains a naturally occurring concentration of particles that exist partially outside normal space-time. Like a weak point in the fabric of reality, Mai suggested. Exactly. And we're drilling into it. Min's voice grew urgent. This is what the future warning was about. Extracting He-3 from this region isn't just mining. It's disrupting a quantum gravitational stability point. If that's true, Locke said, looking up from his work, then activating the full extraction process could trigger quantum disruptions immediately. We might not have to wait until 2382 to see the effects. As if confirming his assessment, the facility shuddered violently. Warning indicators flashed across all displays as the extraction drills penetrated deeper into the asteroid's core. Quantum fluctuations detected, the automated system announced. Anomaly containment protocols activated. It's starting already, Min said grimly. We need to shut down the extraction process now. Locke shook his head in frustration. I can't break through the encryption in time. Then we do it manually, Min decided. Where's the primary extraction control junction? Mai quickly consulted the facility schematic. Level 3, Section B. It's the physical connection point for all extraction commands. If we can reach it, we can sever the connection and force an emergency shutdown, Min explained. It's our only chance. They raced through the corridors as the facility continued to tremble around them. Emergency bulkheads were beginning to close automatically, forcing them to find alternative routes. The extraction machinery produced a deep, ominous hum that seemed to resonate with the structure of the asteroid itself. When they finally reached Level 3, they found their path blocked by a lone figure in an environmental suit. Sun stood before the entrance to Section B, a mining laser pistol held loosely in his hand. Sun, Min said in surprise. I thought you were heading to Orpheus 42. I was, the spy replied, until I received direct orders from Hoang to ensure this facility remained operational. He raised the weapon slightly. I'm sorry. I tried to help, but in the end, I have my duty. Your duty is to humanity, Mai argued, not to a corporation that values profit over lives. Another violent tremor shook the asteroid, stronger than before. Warning lights flashed more urgently. Quantum resonance approaching critical levels. The automated system warned, containment failure imminent. Sun's resolve visibly wavered. What happens if the resonance goes critical? Based on our calculations and the future warning, Min explained quickly. It will create a quantum shockwave that damages the fabric of space-time itself. The effects will propagate through the solar system, eventually reaching Earth's orbital shield network. As if to punctuate his words, a visible ripple of energy passed through the corridor, momentarily distorting their perception of reality itself. Equipment on the walls appeared to shift position without moving, and for a split second, they all experienced a nauseating sense of temporal displacement. Sun lowered his weapon. Go, he said simply. I'll help. Together, they forced open the doors to Section B, revealing a chamber filled with control equipment centered around a massive junction box. Quantum energy visibly crackled around the cables connecting it to the extraction machinery. We need to sever the main power coupling, Locke shouted over the increasing noise. But that energy discharge could be lethal. I'll do it, Sun volunteered, stepping forward. My suit has better insulation, corporate grade. Before anyone could stop him, Sun grabbed the main coupling and pulled with all his strength. Quantum energy surged through his suit, causing it to glow from within as he screamed in pain. The coupling finally separated, with a blinding flash that threw him across the room. Immediately, the extraction machinery began powering down, the ominous humming fading to silence. The asteroid's trembling gradually subsided. Quantum resonance stabilizing, the automated system reported. Containment restored. Mai rushed to Sun's side. The spy's suit was burned and partially melted, but his life signs were still registering on her scanner. He's alive, but badly injured, she reported. We need to get him to the shuttle's medical bay immediately. As Locke helped carry the unconscious Sun, Min accessed a nearby terminal to assess their success. The extraction process had been halted just in time, but not before significant damage had been done. The quantum nexus at the asteroid's core had been partially destabilized. We've prevented immediate disaster, he told the others, as they made their way back to the shuttle. But the nexus point is still vulnerable. If He-3 Corp resumes extraction anywhere in the Orpheus Belt, they risk triggering the same reaction. Will they believe us now? Locke asked. After what just happened? They'll have to, Min replied grimly, because we're going to make sure everyone knows the truth. The return journey to Mars was tense but uneventful. Sun remained in critical condition, the shuttle's limited medical facilities barely keeping him stable. Upon reaching orbit, they transmitted an emergency medical request to Kronos Station, along with all their findings from Orpheus 29. The response was immediate. A medical team met them at the docking bay, rushing Sun to the advanced treatment facilities. To Min's surprise, Professor Ann was waiting for them as well, his aged face tight with concern. You've stirred up quite the storm, the professor informed them, as they walked quickly through the station corridors. He-3 Corp is claiming you sabotaged their facility and stole proprietary data. The Union Science Council has ordered an emergency hearing. What about our findings? Min asked. The quantum nexus? The correlation with the future warning? That's why I'm here, Ann replied. Your data transmitted from Orpheus 29 is compelling. The quantum resonance patterns match theoretical models we developed during Operation Orion. This isn't coincidence. They gathered in Min's laboratory, where holographic displays showed the ongoing analysis of both the original future message and their new data from the asteroid. Mai had recovered enough to join them, though exhaustion lined her face. The message contained more than a warning, she explained, highlighting a previously undecoded section. It also provided a solution, something called optimal time spike, a quantum resonance correction, and translated, studying the equations. Essentially, a precisely calculated energy pulse that would stabilize the quantum nexus points throughout the Orpheus belt. Can we implement it? Min asked. With Kronos Station's quantum array, yes, the professor confirmed. But we'd need to reconfigure the entire system, and we'd only get one chance. The timing would need to be exact, November 12th, 2378. That's less than 5 months away, Locke noted. And He-3 Corp won't simply allow us to interfere with their operations. They might not have a choice. Mai said, pulling up news feeds from Earth and Mars. The incidents at Orpheus 29 had not gone unnoticed. Reports of quantum anomalies and temporal distortions were spreading, along with leaked information about the future warning. Public opinion was shifting rapidly. Protests had erupted outside He-3 Corp headquarters in Neo Da Nang, demanding transparency about the risks of He-3 extraction. Union officials were calling for an independent investigation. We have a window of opportunity, Min realized. But He-3 Corp won't surrender easily. They'll fight to protect their interests, and they have enormous influence. His prediction proved accurate. The next day, as they prepared to present their findings to the Union Science Council, station security reported that all outbound communications had been restricted. He-3 Corp had obtained an emergency injunction, claiming protection of vital economic assets. They're trying to silence us, Mai said angrily, while they continue extraction in other parts of the belt. Min made a decision. We implement the optimal time spike regardless. Professor, can you help us reconfigure the quantum array without official authorization? Ann nodded slowly. It would be my final contribution to science, and perhaps my redemption for Orion's failures. They worked in secret over the following weeks, using Min's authority as project leader to disguise their preparations as routine maintenance and calibration. Sun, recovering in the medical bay, provided valuable information about He-3 Corp's security protocols and helped them bypass corporate monitoring systems. Why are you helping us? Min asked him during one visit. Because I saw the quantum distortion with my own eyes, Sun replied, his voice weak but determined. And because Huang was willing to sacrifice me without hesitation. I've served corporate interests long enough. Now I choose humanity's future. As November approached, tensions escalated throughout the solar system. Earth's energy grid experienced disruptions as He-3 Corp struggled to maintain extraction levels amid growing safety concerns. The Martian colonies, heavily dependent on imported resources, faced rationing and civil unrest. On Chrono Station, Min's team made final preparations for the optimal time spike. The quantum array had been secretly reconfigured according to the specifications in the future message, creating a precisely calibrated system capable of generating the necessary resonance correction. All calculations are triple-checked. Mai confirmed, her face showing the strain of weeks of intense work. The quantum harmonics are aligned with the nexus points throughout the Orpheus belt. When activated, the spike should stabilize the quantum gravitational matrix. What if it doesn't work? Locke asked the question they all feared. Then we've done our best, Min answered honestly. But I believe in the message. Our future selves wouldn't have gone to such lengths if success wasn't possible. On November 11th, the day before the planned activation, they received an unexpected visit. Station security escorted Dongach Huang himself into Min's laboratory, accompanied by 2 Union officials. The He-3 Corp CEO looked both angry and exhausted. Dr. Min, he said without preamble, I understand you're planning an unauthorized quantum experiment that could potentially interfere with critical resource extraction. We're planning to prevent a catastrophe that threatens all humanity, Min countered. One your company has deliberately ignored despite clear evidence. Evidence of a message supposedly from the future, Huang scoffed. Hardly scientific basis for economic suicide. One of the Union officials stepped forward. The Science Council has reviewed your data, Dr. Min. While we cannot verify the origin of the quantum message, the anomalies at Orpheus 29 are undeniable. He-3 Corp has been ordered to suspend all extraction activities in the belt, pending further investigation. Huang's face tightened with suppressed fury. An investigation that could take years while billions suffer energy shortages. Better shortages than extinction, Mai interjected. The second official, a severe-looking woman with military bearing, addressed Min directly. The Council has also authorized your optimal time spike experiment, under supervision. If successful, it could provide a solution that allows safer extraction to resume. Min nodded gratefully. We're scheduled to activate tomorrow at precisely 1547 hours. The quantum alignments will be optimal at that moment. Huang looked from Min to the officials, realizing he had lost this battle. I'll have my technical team assist with any final preparations, he said stiffly. He-3 Corp is committed to safety. After all, after they departed, Mai approached Min with concern. Do you trust this sudden cooperation? Not entirely, he admitted. Have Locke check all systems before tomorrow, and keep Sun informed. He may recognize any subtle sabotage attempts. The next day, Chrono Station hummed with barely contained tension. Union officials, corporate representatives, and scientific observers gathered in the main control center to witness the optimal time spike experiment. Min stood at the primary console, with Mai and Professor Ann flanking him. Locke monitored the quantum array from an adjacent station. Quantum field generators at full capacity, Locke reported. Array alignment at optimal parameters. Chronometric synchronization complete. Mai added, temporal variance within acceptable limits. Min looked around the room, making eye contact with each of his team members. They had worked toward this moment through doubt, danger, and opposition. Now success or failure would be determined in the next few minutes. Begin final sequence, he ordered. The station lights dimmed as power diverted to the quantum array. Holographic displays showed the energy buildup as the system prepared to generate the precisely calibrated spike that would, if their calculations were correct, stabilize the quantum nexus points throughout the Orpheus belt. Approaching critical threshold, Mai announced, her voice steady despite the pressure. Spike formation in 3, 2, 1. A blinding flash emanated from the quantum field generators, momentarily overwhelming the control center's visual dampeners. When vision returned, the holographic displays showed a rippling wave of energy propagating outward from the station, heading toward the Orpheus belt at superluminal speed. Spike successfully deployed. Lock confirmed. Energy signature matches predicted parameters. For several tense minutes, they monitored the wave's progress as it reached the belt and began interacting with the quantum nexus points. Readings fluctuated wildly at first, then gradually stabilized into new patterns. Quantum resonance stabilizing throughout the belt. Mai reported, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. The nexus points are responding exactly as predicted. Cheers erupted around the control center as scientists and officials alike recognized the significance of what they were witnessing. Even some of the He3 Corp representatives looked relieved, though Huang maintained a stoic expression. Min, however, remained focused on one particular display, a quantum receiver calibrated to detect temporal signals. As the optimal time spike completed its work, the receiver began detecting a new pattern, distinct from the original warning message. "We're receiving something," he announced, silencing the celebration. Another temporal signal. Mai rushed to join him, helping to isolate and enhance the faint quantum signature. It's using the same encoding protocol as the original message, but the temporal distance is greater. This is coming from even further in the future. The message, once decoded, was brief but profound. Baga cascade initiated. Timeline stabilization proceeding. The path is opening. "What does it mean?" one of the union officials asked. Professor An stepped forward, his aged face alight with understanding. "It means we succeeded. Baga, in ancient Sanskrit, refers to the sun, to providence and good fortune. A cascade is a series of events, each triggering the next." He smiled at Min. "We've set in motion a chain of positive changes that will ripple through time." In the days that followed, detailed analysis confirmed their success. The quantum nexus points throughout the Orpheus belt had been stabilized, allowing for safer extraction of He3 using modified techniques. He3 Corp, facing both public pressure and scientific evidence, agreed to implement new safety protocols developed in collaboration with Min's team. 2 weeks after the experiment, Min stood alone in the observation deck, gazing at the distant Earth. The blue planet seemed somehow brighter now, its future more secure. But questions lingered in his mind. Contemplating our place in time, Professor An's voice interrupted his thoughts as the elderly scientist joined him at the viewport. Wondering what other messages might be waiting for us, Min replied, "If the future sent us this warning, what else might they be trying to tell us? Perhaps that's humanity's eternal journey," and suggested, "Always listening for echoes from what lies ahead, always seeking to understand our place in the cosmic symphony of time." Mai entered the observation deck, tablet in hand. "You should see this," she said, displaying a quantum scan of the stabilized Orpheus belt. "We're detecting residual temporal signatures throughout the region. It's as if the barrier between now and then has grown thinner." "A doorway," Min wondered aloud. "More like a window," she corrected. "We can't pass through, but perhaps we can see further than before." Locke joined them, bringing news from Earth. The Union Council has approved funding for Project Echo's expansion. They want dedicated quantum receivers established throughout the solar system, all listening for temporal signals. "And He3 Corp?" Min asked. "Huang has stepped down as CEO," Locke reported with satisfaction. "The new leadership is implementing all our safety recommendations and funding research into quantum stabilization technology." Sun was the last to arrive, still moving carefully as he recovered from his injuries. "I've been offered a position with the Union Science Council," he told them, overseeing corporate compliance with the new quantum safety regulations. "From spy to watchdog," Mai remarked with a smile. "An appropriate transformation." As they stood together, watching the endless dance of planets and stars beyond the viewport, Min felt a profound sense of connection. not just to his colleagues, but to the future they had helped secure. Somewhere, centuries ahead, other humans had reached back through time to guide them. The thought filled him with both humility and hope. The morning light from a distant sun streamed through the viewport, illuminating their faces. In that moment, they were not just scientists who had prevented a catastrophe. They were links in a chain stretching forward and backward through time. Each generation an echo of those before and after. And, "What's next?" Locke asked, breaking the contemplative silence. Min smiled. "We keep listening. The future still has much to tell us." As if in answer, the quantum receiver on Mai's tablet flickered briefly, displaying a momentary pattern before returning to normal. None of them saw it, except Min, who caught just a glimpse of what looked like coordinates. Coordinates for a location deep in the outer solar system. Another message, another mystery, another echo from the future waiting to be heard.